Here. Yes. Hallelujah. So I'm going to be talking about the leader and political skills. Now, I know that topic sounds a bit controversial, that you are thinking now he's bringing politics into the church. Ne? If you look at all the speakers who have come before me from Thursday night, there is one theme that goes along with everything they were saying, and that theme is influence. But there is no influence outside of politics. The problem is that we have been programmed to think bad about politics. That we were told that when we talk about politics, we're talking about those who come and say, vote for me. And we're saying they are politicians. They are playing a very smaller role in politics. They just know how to use influence to get our votes. Well, let me take this opportunity to thank Apostle Eddie for allowing me and Prophet Stella to come and be part of this conference as one of the speakers. So I'm going to run quickly. The first thing that I need us to look at in the introduction is that when God created heaven and earth, after he created everything looked good in the eyes of God. Even Adam looked good. But there is something specific that God said, that it is not good for a man to be alone. I'm not going to talk about marriage. God said it is not good for a man to be alone. God looked and said, for this world to function, there can't be one individual. There can't be one individual, one person only. So I need more people on this earth, because I have spoken as God that this person that I'm creating is going to be productive. So I need more. And for me to get more, I need to introduce a woman into the picture so that they can be productive and do the mandate that I've given them from the beginning. Because it is not good for a man to be alone. Even in business, if God has called us into business because there are people with needs. If it was Adam alone, there wouldn't be a need for business. What was he going to sell and to who? There wouldn't be a need. So we need to take that into cognizance, that it is not good for a man to be alone. But the problem is that the introduction of human beings in any system brings complexity. When I worked in the mining industry, we used to say that a mine is the safest place you can find on earth until you introduce a human being. The safest. It doesn't fall, it doesn't do anything. But when you introduce a human being, when he goes and see this rock is like it's hanging, he wants to test it, then it eventually falls. Ne? But when there is complexity, we need to manage that complexity. We need to understand diversity. And one of the things that really breaks my heart when I talk about diversity is that when we talk about diversity in our nation, we look at it from the perspective of two things, race and gender. And those are two smaller things in terms of diversity. There is a bigger thing, which is diversity of thought and opinions. Do you understand as a leader, the people you have in your team, their thinking patterns? Do you know that some are opinionated, some are not? Some wait for you as a leader to say something, and then they will have an opinion after. And there you are sitting, you are asking them, what do you think? And they're not giving you any answers because they are waiting for you to tell them the whole story. Then they will say, oh, no, this is what I think about it. When you have told the whole story, that's diversity. But we need a specialized skill to traverse through that particular diversity. And that is a political skill that I'm talking about. So we need to empower ourselves to have political skills to navigate through the complexities of leadership. How many of you have had someone who have resigned from work or left their church, and when you ask them, why did you leave? They say, hey, politics. politics. And then it has made us to hate politics. To think that when someone says politics, it's a bad thing. So we need to have a clear understanding of the importance of political skills and how to apply them in different settings for two things only: to maximize and leverage on relationships. That's why we need political skills, is to maximize and leverage on relationships. Amen. So what is political skills? Is the capability to exploit, maximize, and leverage relationship to accomplish two things: personal goals or organizational goals. There are no other goals that we live to achieve. Think about it. What goals are there that you're having that haven't got anything to do with either personal or organizational? Nothing else. And that's where politics come in. I've got the second definition. I'm not going to go into it in the interest of time, but when you look at the two definitions, there's two common themes amongst them. It's the relationships and goals. We live in a world where we need to have relationships. You can't be alone. It is not good for a man to be alone. We are relational people, but we have got our own interests. I've already spoken about this. Our perception about politics is negativity, corruption, malfeasance, self-saving. They are manipulative. Once you hear politics, when a person say, I left that church because of politics, when you ask them, what exactly is those politics? They will talk about some of these things that I've mentioned there. But in reality, political skills are positive skills. They are positive skills to influence. That when you have got political skills, you will be trusted because people would want to listen to your ideas, even in meetings, because you are able to navigate, you are able to bring people together for a common good. When a church has a vision, that vision is a political statement. We might not want to hear it, but it is a political statement that we are making, that this is what we want to achieve as a church. This is where we are going. Politics help us to be resourceful. And by resourceful, I don't mean to have all the resources. We will see when we deal with networking that sometimes there are things that you don't have. But because you have connected with other people, you have got access to those things. There are people that I've got access to because of relationships that I have with other people who are connected to them. I might not even have that person's contact number, but the person that I'm connected to will take me to that other person. That's how politics work. What are the key competencies that that are required for us to have these political skills I'm talking about? The first competency that we need is what I call the navigator. Before you go to any, or before you take on a trip, when you've got a GPS and you don't know the place you're going to, you have never been there before, you put on what we call the coordinates. Even when you put 31 Jorison Street, Johannesburg, at the background, the GPS doesn't know what you're talking about. There are specific numbers which are in degrees, minutes, and seconds. We call them coordinates. That's what the navigator is reading. That's why it is able to take you. When you're saying, I'm going to Corner, Aras, and Elizabeth, you're going to Gateway Church International. It doesn't know Gateway Church International. It knows those coordinates that are linked to the name Gateway Church International. The navigator will take you, will calculate the time that you will get there. It will look at the best possible route for you to get there, because there is not one route to get there. And we call that scenario planning. So you are looking at this place that I want to go. You are the navigator. You plan. You look at all different options of getting to where I want to get to as a leader. You look at different people that you need in your team as a leader to bring it closer to home. What are the skill set that I need for me to achieve this vision that I have as a leader? You understand the view and have a view of the terrain and its complexities before you even put in that team together. But for you to do that, you need to be socially astute. What do I mean by social astuteness? You need to be a person who observes. Remember when the children of Israel were in the wilderness and Moses was leading them. He was frustrated going through everything. A man called Jethro came in. The Bible tells us that Jethro did not say anything. He sat and observed. He sat and observed. And after observing, he made a recommendation. He did not want to get into the politics of Israel at the time. He could have shouted at Moses and said, I've been visiting here. I haven't seen you since I visited. But he said, let me observe. Understand the collective social norms. There is the norms and standards of the church that you are running. There are policies that you have set in place. But there are subtle norms that are there within the teams. Do you know about them as the leader? Do you know about the implicit culture of the teams that you are leading? There is an implicit culture that people have set themselves. And there is something that Peter Drucker once said, that culture is strategy for a breakfast. And those are the same people that you are giving strategy of the church to implement. But they've got their own subtle culture that you are not aware of because you are not a social astute person. You are not within the people that you are leading. You have created a distance between you and the people that you are leading. As a navigator, you have to be there always. Understand their behaviors. Understand what makes them tick. Understand what makes the team excited. That's what navigators do. Relational. You need to build interpersonal skills. When you build interpersonal skills, you don't only build yourself, you build others at the same time. You capacitate them to engage and influence others. And they begin to trust you as a leader, that if he is training me, it shows that he's not actually frightened. He's not actually scared that I can take over. You know, I'm sure some of us come from those places where it was a one-man show, that nobody was trained to do anything. You only realize the day the senior pastor or the lead pastor is no more, that, hey, we are in trouble here. You even think of going outside and hiring an external pastor because there's no one who can preach the word. We haven't capacitated them. Leverage on time. As a leader, when you accessorize your limitations, you look at people who can help you with those limitations. What do I mean by limitations? We've got strengths and weaknesses. Ne? But why concentrate on your weaknesses when you can find someone if you've got a weakness, why can't you find someone who's strong in that area? And you focus on your strengths. And I always say this, that as a leader, when you leverage on time, we all work around 8 hours a day. But when you've got 10 people that you are working with, it means that as a leader, collectively, you have got 80 hours a day. You have got those 80 hours belongs to you. You can do what you want with them. You can either break it or you can build it with those 80 hours. So you are leveraging on time. When you're making your team bigger, you are leveraging on time. You are building relationships at the same time, but making sure that you use time efficiently, not effectively, because effectiveness means that we are doing something. But efficiency means that we are actually using this time that is there to achieve something. I normally give this example. I come from a maintenance environment. You can have a pump that pumps water. Of course, it pumps water, it delivers water. But is it pumping at the rate that we need? For instance, in the municipality of Emalahleni, our water consumption is about 140 megaliters. Is it a day? Where is Dr. Mhlongo? He knows. And I think we only producing around 120. So there is a shortfall of 40, of 20 in between. But the pumps are running. Are they efficient? They are just effective. So are you effective or efficient? Accessorize your limitations. Remember, Paul, there were places that he could not go on his own. He had to send Titus to say, Titus, I have evangelized at that particular area. It's your turn now to go and set up leadership structures. He was leveraging on time. But why would he send Titus there? Because he had spent time with him. He had taught him how to engage and influence. He didn't just pick him up and say, go and do this. He trained him, spent time with him. Networking. Networks gives us access to tacit knowledge. And most of the time, this knowledge, we would be paying so much money for it. But when you belong to certain networks, you get it for absolutely nothing. You only made an effort to be part of that network. There is an untapped knowledge. There are things that we do not know. We can only get access them from networks. I gave an example to say that if I know Apostle Eddie and Apostle Eddie is connected to Reverend Mashego, if there is something that I need and I speak to Apostle, he will say, no, wait, I will speak to someone who will help you on this particular issue. And he makes a phone call to Reverend Mashego and say, I've got Phatudi who's going through this particular issue. I think you are the right person that I can refer him to. I was not connected to him. I'm only connected to him. But the network that I have with him made it possible for me to access help. That's what networking does. And most of the time we underplay the importance of networking. Never network for the sake of networking. Network for a specific goals. What are the goals that you have? Personal goals and organizational goals. What is it that you intend to achieve? The last one, be authentic. Be you. If you can't be yourself, there is nobody who will be you. And the person you are trying to be is already been themselves. So you're encroaching in another person's space. Just be authentic. Be forthright, honest and genuine. You can't be any other person. And the application, I want to spend the next maybe 2-3 minutes on the application of political skill. Now, when you apply this political skill in any setting, there are people that we call the wits. And I know when you're saying wits, it sounds like, it's those that I need to take out and throw away. But wits grow naturally. There are relationships that will grow naturally. And you need to honor those relationships. They just come. There are people who will, There are people that sometimes you even forget, how did I meet this person? Somehow it just happened. But you don't know what you did for them to come to you or what they did for you to go to them. And sometimes weeds are necessary because they also help with preventing soil erosion. So there is an erosion that might take place, and those relationships will help to maintain the level, maintain everything in order. Honor those relationships. You never invited that person into your life. You're still doubting, how did I meet this person? They just appeared. Honor them, cherish them, work with them. If you need to, normally, when in any garden, even if you go and start planting today, you remove all the weeds. 2-3 days down the line, they will start growing before your seeds. They are there. You need to maintain them. The rocks. And take note there, I'm not saying rock, I'm saying the rocks. The rocks, the only few problems with the rocks is that they have got pieces of truth in them. Rock represents the entire truth. But when you crush it, it's pieces of truth. And you can't, when you're walking on top of rocks, you need to tread carefully. Because they've got edges around. You need special type of shoes that you need to walk on top of rocks. That is why in the mining industry or in any industry, they're saying that you must have oil-resistant boots when you get into the mine. Because if it's not oil-resistant or you go with the shoes I'm wearing, once you step on oil, you're going to fall. So you need to be careful when you're dealing with the rocks. Remember how Priscilla and Aquila dealt with a guy called Apollos. They had him preaching. He was very eloquent. But the Bible says he was only learned on the book on the baptism of John. Very eloquent. He wasn't mincing his words, but he was talking one experience. They did not shout at him. They took him aside and said, let's help you. Let's put this together to be the rock. It's our responsibility as leaders to identify those ones and put them together as we build these relationships. It takes a certain political skill for you to identify those rocks in your church. Then we've got the high grounds. The high grounds is people who look at, the formal relationships that are there. Those who thrive in formal structures. Those who, when you approach Ruti, they come and say, by the way, what does the policy of the church say about this? And there's nothing wrong with them. They just want structure. When you mentor them, they want a proper mentorship structure that we are going to write everything down. When are we meeting? We write it down. They are structured people. They want everything to be done in accordance with something. If there is no system, they get disappointed and leave and go and look for a place with systems. They can't put systems themselves, but they want a place that has got systems that they're going to work with. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. That's how they are made. Or Pastor Mzwandile yesterday said that he recommends that we do, as individuals, we do personality tests so that we know ourselves. And I feel that as a church, we need to do that and give it to those people who are leading us. To have an understanding. Some years ago, I had a team. We were about 6 in the team. We were at university, and we decided to do the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator. And to our surprise, 4 of us in the team came out as ENTJ. Imagine you've got a team of ENTJs. These people are just sort of horrible people to work with because they are very methodological. They want everything to be in order. They want systems to be in place. They are very decisive. They are thinking forward, very analytical. When you give them something and you want it today, and I think Apostle will know about this. We want it today. They say, I will respond. And then they take their time looking at it. But when you don't understand the team that you are working with, it makes you angry because you were in a hurry to have it, but that person takes their time. And it's not because they are not thinking about it. They are analyzing it and saying, I'm putting possible scenarios here. If you are saying that we're going to have 3 missions this year, they are busy thinking, why will we have 3 missions? What if the price of fuel goes up? Will we still afford to have 3 missions? And you want them to make a decision now. But their concern is about the future, the price of fuel going up. Because for us to have that mission, we're going to travel. They're planning. So you need to understand those people in the high ground. What is their pattern of thinking? The woods. The woods are those. Remember when I started, I spoke about people who form subtle norms within the organization. They look at what is being practiced, what do they like, and what don't they like. And they take what they don't like, they form something they like just below it. So they have got implicit culture within the culture of the organization. So you need to find a way of how do I address them? How do I approach them? Because they are not saying that we don't like the organization. We want to be part of the church. But it's just that 1, 2, 3 that you are saying, hey, it's a bit difficult for us. Sometimes it's a misinterpretation of what the church stands for. When we saying that as Gateway Church International, we are a doorway to a godly mindset, does everyone understand what a doorway to a godly mindset mean? Someone might be having his own interpretation of a doorway to a godly mindset. And their interpretation, because they somehow they realize that the way I'm doing things is not the way that things have been done at Gateway. Therefore, I'm just going to be a little bit below. So those are the groups that you need to look at as you apply political skills in the church. Amen. You need to use political skills to encourage and compel others, to influence others, to help you to have access to critical resources. Be resourceful. Being resourceful means that you have got people who know someone who knows someone who can bring in something to the church. Correct usage of political skills will help you to build trust. And I always say when you look at the word trust, the first T stands for time. If you don't spend time with them, you remove the first T, what is left? The relationship will rust.